Stories are the foundation of every culture. Whether we write them, sit around the campfire and tell them, in whatever way we share them. My particular choice is video these days. But one way or another, when a story is shared, we learn, we begin to understand things we might not have seen in a particular way. And with any luck, we are transformed. Hello, I'm A.G. Vasquez, and this is Maps and Legends. I am standing with a familiar sight behind me that many of you who watch Maps and Legends may recognize from some of my previous episodes. And this is a wall of boards, storyboards that were from a project called Living on the Dime from 2003 to 2006. We traveled a crew of 6 photographers, 3 videographers, and other folks that came in and helped us on this journey on this road. And we traveled through different towns and places that had kind of been forgotten on the side of the road or had been buried literally by the building of the 10 freeway. At the beginning of the year, I spoke to folks about a wonderful honor that was given to Inland Mexican Heritage, which this project was done under Inland Mexican Heritage, an organization I formed in 2001 to do stuff just like this. Casa de Culturas, which we all know and love, it's not just my home. Casa de Culturas is a cultural center and research organization that I founded in 2013 here in Joshua Tree. So all these things have been building to this point where the state of California, under the amazing guidance of Dr. Catherine Gudis at UC Riverside, and a big lot of love to Kathy and the folks at UCR and the California State Citrus Museum, who took this from all these tapes that had not been seen in years, and maybe some of them had been cut into short films. You may have seen parts of it, or you can see the trailers for some of my films online. But the whole archive, over 150 hours, was accepted at the end of last year, about a year ago, by the California State Archive. One of the stories that really, as I said, transformed me was meeting Alfredo Figueroa. Alfredo taught me so much about the world around me, and I gathered so many stories from him and the folks that were working with him. Different tribal members from the Colorado River Indian tribes, or CRIT reservation along the Colorado River. I met such wonderful people and got to experience ceremonies and to go to events that these folks were at. Over here is Doña Dolores Macias. She was known as Lola to her friends and family. And when I met Mrs. Macias, she was in her 90s, and I always had the privilege of working with Leslie Rios, who has spent years painstakingly reconstructing the history of his barrio and the communities around Rangel Park in Beaumont, and telling the stories of the traqueros, or the people who worked railroad tracks. Leslie introduced me to all of these elders and gave me his story about his grandfather. So you go to Luis Estrada Road, and you're driving on a little piece of history that we learned about from Living on the Dime by working with Leslie Rios. Over here we have Ernest Siba, and some of you may know Ernest or may have seen him speak or perform. Ernest is a tribal historian for the Morongo people, and I met Ernest years ago working on Living on the Dime. Spoken with him over the years, gained so much knowledge from Ernest. Down here is Hal Emshoff. Some of you may remember Hal. He used to have a horseradish place, Hal's Horseradish. Hands down, and this is from a person who didn't like horseradish before I went to Hal. And Hal, man, I miss that horseradish because you can't get it. He used to fresh grate it. And Hal did an interview for Living on the Dime and gave us a tour through his place and showed us all about it. And shortly thereafter, our old friend Huell Howser stole the idea and talked to Hal himself. Over here is Redlands, Orange Street in Redlands. I grew up near that corner. And all these photos you see down here, this photo here had been kind of lost to history till it was loaned to us by Connie McFarland. whose grandfather played saxophone. He's down in there. His name is Epimenio Guzman, and there he is right there. And we learned later the story of this man. This man, his family told me, his name was Dr. Juan Valderas. And Dr. Valderas he came from Mexico. His wife was a poet. He was a music professor. They came during the revolution. Professor Valderas and his wife were very cultured, educated people. And so he started Mexican Philharmonic orchestras in cities throughout the Southwest. There was one in Los Angeles. There was one in Phoenix. The story is that he taught Linda Ronstadt's family how to play instruments. Living on the Dime went, you see from there, from Bloomington to Beaumont and Banning, the San Gorgonio Pass along the San Bernardino Mountains. We took a little jog up to Joshua Tree and 29 Palms, and down here through Coachella Valley, Thermal, and Mecca. These are all places we told stories about, Eagle Mountain, and finally to Blythe. We traveled across all of this length of Southern California and inland Southern California, learning about all of these places and interviewing people. And over 150 hours of video were collected for the project. Over 6,000 photos were shot for Living in the Dime, many of which have not been seen publicly for now about 15 years. The storyboards were done for a multimedia show that we did called Paid with Good Intentions. Just outside Joshua Tree Park, we spoke with this man, Howard Gross, and he took us to an area called Section 6, which is known as the Desert View Preserve, which is right on the edge of my beloved Coyote Hole. Years ago I came here, and that's, I guess, how connected to the area I am, and how connected Casa de Culturas is to this region in the desert in Joshua Tree. Not just as a house, but as an idea and as a place for ideas about cultures to flourish. I met Huell through Leslie Rios at the Beaumont Library, and Huell and I struck up a conversation, and he agreed to be interviewed for Living on the Dime. I had been doing interviews for several years, but Huell taught me how to kind of get to the bottom of that story and how to really do a more concise interview. So as a result, the interviews for Living on the Dime changed, and you'll see that change in these tapes, as sometimes we follow people around for hours, other times we cut it down to very short, sort of Huell Howser style bites. He spent time and told his stories on a hillside overlooking 29 Palms, and it was a really special part of what our project was to the history of inland Southern California and California. So there's all of these folks who lent their stories and their voices to the Living on the Dime project, and I am overwhelmed that the project is going online, and I'm thankful and grateful for the knowledge, the wisdom, the love all these people and their families showed me and my crew and all the folks that gave to put this together. I can't even tell you how incredible this journey has been. And last year, when Kathy Gudis told me that we had been accepted for this, I said, it's like we're coming to the end of that road. But Maps and Legends and the Coca Play Spirit Journey and the California Coast Desert Trail would not exist without this project. As we continue on the journey, coming into the new year, 2021, I am looking forward to it with all my heart and spirit. And I give my blessings from me and my family out to you on this glorious, glorious November day. I'm A.G. Vasquez.